Dealing with suicide, one of the biggest stories we've dealt with in recent times is the tragedy of Robin Williams. It shook the foundation of millions of people. He was a beloved comic, actor, comedian. I mean, he was just brilliant, and we all loved him. And when he took his own life, it stunned us. Well, I once had a psychologist on the show, and I asked him about the Robin Williams tragedy. And he said to me, I once did a thesis on comedians. And this is what I tell you about comedians. When they're performing, they're on a very high. They're getting laughs. The audience is their drug. They're high as can be. But when that laughter ends and the curtain closes and they're by themselves, they become very low. It's like that roller coaster. When they're getting the laugh, they're on that high. And when they're on that low, they become very low. Now, I'm next to a stand-up comedian, Kevin Brogan. And Kevin, I know you're not an expert on suicide, but you're an expert on being a comedian. Talk about that thesis about the high of, and what you've seen from fellow comics of being very high when things are going good to things are very low when you get down. There's a lot of truth to that theory?
So much truth. So much. Like, it's actually, when you're up there, it really is like one of the best feelings in the world. Like when you're getting, like when you're killing like that night and like you have like a packed out crowd, like 100 people or more, and everyone's just laughing, you're killing it. Like, you feel something that you don't feel every day. And it's just crazy. Like you just love every single second of it. But then, like you said, when you walk off the stage, you go back to your life, which is not so good sometimes. Which is why I source my materials from that. But it gives me material, but it just still makes me feel horrible inside.
And I remember this one interview, and see if you can relate. Is it Robin Williams was with Lipton? I forget his first name. Was
James.
What?
James Lipton.
Jack Lipton.
James Lipton.
James Lipton.
In the acting studio.
James inside the acting studio, and he was interviewing Robin Williams.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget this because I remember what this guy said. Before the interview even started, Robin Williams started in with the crowd, acting like he was from Iran or something, and talking with an accent, and getting the crowd going, and it was like he couldn't even wait till the interview to start to get a rise out of the audience.
Like, I think being a comedian, what you want to do is, even when you're not on stage, you want to make everyone else feel important. You want to put other people before yourself, and I relate to that because I like to make other people feel like they're having a good time. They're important. So like, you want to just make them laugh, even when you're not on stage. But like, that I just relate so much to that, and like I see a lot of comics fall and just get really bad. Like, they become like drunks and like alcoholics, and you just see them decline.
You're very young. You're only 26, but I'm sure being a comedian, you've done your homework and your history. And one great comedian comes to mind is John Belushi.
Oh yeah.
John Belushi was a comic genius.
Yeah, he was.
And you look at some of the movies he did, from Animal House to the SNL, the Blues Brothers. I mean, he was a genius. And yet, when the curtain closed, he had a lot of vices, and ended up costing him his life. And again, that's another example of the highs and lows. And when he got his lows,
and the change is so quick. Like, it's so quick. Literally, you walk off the stage, and the fans are coming up to you, and like, you're just feeling so good, and then you just literally just go back home, and then it's just done. Like, it wears off just like that.
So, would you say, being a comedian, that is really so prevalent amongst being a comedian, is dealing with the highs and lows? Is that you know, when the laughter dies, dealing with reality is just so tough. And has it made you even more aware of that, to avoid kind of those highs and lows and try to keep your life on an even keel?
Absolutely. Like, I don't try to judge my performances anymore. Like, the nights where because obviously there's nights where you don't do as well, and there's nights where you get that high. I just try to do my thing, and then I just walk off, and I try not to let it affect me anymore. Like, I used to get like so excited when I like get that really big crowd, but now it just doesn't affect me as much now, because like you just don't want to get like, I guess, cocky, or you don't want to get like, you know, you don't get in your head like, oh, I'm the best thing out there, like. Or like, I'm the worst thing out there. Like, it's just, yeah, you don't want to do that.
All right. Well, Kevin, I want to thank, I mean, Kevin drove over an hour to get here on a cold night, and, you know, thank you so much for sharing. I mean, the song you wrote about your grandpa was amazing and moving, and having you part of the bullying segment and this segment, because I felt that, you know, we all know about Robin Williams, but you being a comedian could relate to that aspect, and you nailed it. Thank you for your perspective.
Thank you so much for having me. And he's one of my favorite comics also, by the way. Like, I looked up to him, like, so much.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, Kevin Brogan.